tonight. Before anything else, just listen. Imagine for a moment that you can hear it. The soft, steady rhythm of rain falling just outside your window. Each drop a tiny percussion, tapping gently against the glass, against the leaves, against the quiet roof above your head. This sound, this ancient, beautiful sound, has been putting human beings to sleep for as long as our species has existed. It is the oldest lullaby on earth. Older than language. Older than music. Older than any song ever sung by any mother to any child. Tonight, on Sleepy Science Night, we are going to discover why this sound has such extraordinary power over the human brain. Why rain can reach into the deepest, most guarded chambers of your nervous system and gently convince it to let go. Breathe in time with the rain, drawing the air in slowly, holding it gently, and releasing it into the night. Let us begin. Inhale, hold and exhale. Once again, breathing in the cool, damp air of the imagined storm. Hold, and let it all drift away. And one last time, matching the steady, endless rhythm of the falling water. Inhale, hold and exhale. Let your breathing settle now, finding its own natural pace, its own quiet rhythm. Much like the rain itself. There is a common misconception about the sound of rain. Many people refer to it casually as white noise. You have likely heard this term before, perhaps on sound machines or sleep applications. But rain is not white noise. White noise is something quite different. Mathematically and acoustically. In white noise, there is an equal distribution of energy across all possible frequencies. It is a flat, unyielding wall of sound. It is the sound of television static, the harsh, hissing hiss of an untuned radio. It is a synthetic creation, something that rarely exists in the natural world in such a pure, relentless form. White noise is indiscriminate. It pushes against your ears with equal force at the high frequencies and the low, leaving no room for the subtle dynamics of nature. Rain, on the other hand, is something far more beautiful, far more complex. Rain is what acoustic physicists call pink noise, or Noise. In pink noise, the energy is not distributed equally across all frequencies. Instead, as the frequency increases, the power of the sound decreases proportionally. This means that the lower, deeper frequencies carry more energy, more weight, more presence. It is a sound that is bass-heavy, warm and deeply enveloping. When you listen to the rain, you are not hearing a harsh static. You are hearing a rich, textured blanket of low-frequency comfort, wrapped around the occasional softer taps of higher frequencies It is a sound that holds you, rather than pushes you away. But why does this matter for the sleeping brain? Why does this specific acoustic shape, this gentle slope of pink noise, have such a profound effect on our nervous system? To understand this, we must look at the brain not just as an organ of thought, but as an organ of rhythm. The brain produces its own electrical waves, rising and falling in deep, rhythmic oscillations, especially when we cross the threshold into sleep. In 2017, Dr. Phyllis Z and a team of researchers at Northwestern University explored this very connection. Published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, they were looking at deep sleep, the phase dominated by slow, rolling electrical waves in the brain, what we call delta waves. They wanted to know if the brain's internal rhythm could be guided by an external sound. Research suggests that the acoustic profile of pink noise is uniquely suited to this task. Dr. Z's study involved playing pulses of pink noise to older adults as they slept. But these were not just random bursts of sound. The pink noise was carefully timed to match the slow wave oscillations of the participants' own brains. It was an acoustic mirror, reflecting the brain's own deep sleep rhythms back to it. What they found was extraordinary. The timed pink noise seemed to resonate with the brain's natural frequencies, amplifying the delta wave activity. It was as if the sound and the brain were dancing together. The pink noise gently pushing the neural waves deeper and deeper, like a parent pushing a child on a swing, timing the push perfectly with the arc of the pendulum. This acoustic resonance did more than just deepen sleep. The study showed that it also improved the participants' next-day memory recall. The sound of rain, or pink noise, does not merely mask the disruptive noises of the outside world. It reaches inward, synchronizing with the very electrical architecture of your resting mind. It is like a tuning fork, matching the frequency of a crystal glass, vibrating in perfect harmony. This harmony between the sound of rain and the human brain goes even deeper, into the very mathematical structure of the natural world. Rain possesses a quality known as fractal geometry. Fractals are patterns that are self-similar across different scales. Think of the jagged edge of a coastline, or the intricate branching of a fern. If you zoom in on a small section, it looks remarkably like the whole. Rain sounds behave in much the same way. If you listen to 10 seconds of rain, and then listen to 10 minutes of rain, the overall pattern, the clustering of heavy drops and quiet lulls, feels remarkably similar. This self-similarity, this fractal nature, is the mathematical signature of 1F noise. In 1975, Dr. Richard Voss at IBM published foundational research on this phenomenon, examining the presence of 1F noise in music and nature. His work suggested that this specific mathematical balance, hovering delicately between the complete randomness of white noise and the rigid predictability of a ticking clock, is perceived by the human auditory system as the most natural and pleasing pattern of sound. White noise is too chaotic. The brain cannot find a pattern, cannot find rest within it. A metronome or a dripping faucet is too predictable. The brain fixates on the repetition, waiting anxiously for the next drop. But the fractal nature of rain, the 1F noise, is perfectly balanced. It offers just enough variation to feel alive, and just enough consistency to feel safe. It is a sound that the brain recognizes intuitively, a sound that whispers of the natural world. When the brain hears this natural signature, it responds in a very specific, very ancient way. The way our auditory cortex processes the sound of a rainstorm is fundamentally different from how it processes the synthetic noises of our modern lives. In 2017, Dr. Cassandra Gould van Praag and researchers at the University of Sussex used fMRI scanners to peer inside the living brain as it listened to different environments. Published in scientific reports, they wanted to observe the neural differences between listening to artificial soundscapes and natural ones, like the wind in the trees or the steady fall of rain. What the scans revealed may help explain why a rainy night feels so incredibly peaceful. The researchers found that natural soundscapes actually shifted the body's autonomic nervous system toward the parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode, slowing the heart rate and relaxing the body. But perhaps even more fascinating was what happened inside the brain itself. The natural sounds appeared to reduce activity in the default mode network. This network is often associated with inward-directed thought, mind-wandering, rumination, and the endless spinning of our daily anxieties. When listening to artificial sounds, this network was active, the brain scanning and worrying. But under the acoustic blanket of natural sounds, like rain, the default mode network quieted down. The brain felt safe enough to stop scanning the horizon for danger, safe enough to stop ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. It let go. Artificial sounds may have had the opposite effect, pulling the brain into a state of outward-directed attention and subtle vigilance. But rain, the oldest lullaby on Earth, told the deepest parts of the nervous system that it was time to rest. Notice any sounds around you right now, real or imagined. The hum of a distant machine, the shifting of a house settling into the night, or simply the quiet rush of your own breath. And imagine them slowly transforming, softening, blurring at the edges, becoming the gentle, steady patter of rain on a quiet roof, feeling the parasympathetic calm wash over you with each imagined drop. But the power of rain over the human brain goes far deeper than acoustics alone. To truly understand why rain makes you sleepy, we need to travel back in time, millions of years, to the ancient forests where our earliest ancestors huddled together in the darkness, and listen to the rain. Before we journey further into the mist, before we explore the deep, ancient history of the rain, and its profound relationship with our resting minds, let us take a moment. Just a quiet, unhurried, gentle moment to remind the body that it is safe, that the day is truly and completely over, and that there is nothing left to defend against tonight. Deeply and completely, resting without reservation, I want you to bring your awareness, very gently, to the sensation of your own breath, not trying to change it just yet, just noticing how it feels as it enters and leaves your body, allowing every muscle to soften, trusting the quiet of the night, drifting further into the sanctuary of rest, feeling the profound peace of this moment. And now, let us breathe together with a focus on feeling completely and entirely safe from all the demands of the waking hours. We will take a gentle breath in for 4 counts and a long, slow release for 8 counts, letting go of everything the day asked of you, letting the mind unravel its tight threads. Breathe in and out, feeling the heaviness settling into your limbs, feeling the profound safety of your resting place, sinking into the velvet darkness. Breathe in and slowly release, letting the muscles of your jaw soften, letting the shoulders drop away from your ears, letting the ground rise up to hold you, embraced by the ancient stillness. One final time, breathing in and letting it all go, sinking deeper, deeper into the quiet sanctuary of the night, breathing with the slow rhythm of the earth, knowing that all is well, held gently by the passing of time. For millions of years, long before the concept of a bedroom or a mattress existed, long before walls and locks, our ancient ancestors lived in a world where the night was a landscape of uncertainty, a vast and shadowy canvas where survival depended on eternal vigilance. The darkness held secrets and danger, and the sudden snap of a twig could mean the difference between waking to see the dawn and fading into the ancient earth. Releasing the need to control or understand, surrendering to the natural flow of sleep. But there was one particular occurrence, one grand meteorological event that altered the balance of the nocturnal world. When the clouds gathered heavy and dark across the ancient skies, and the first heavy drops of water began to fall, a profound shift occurred in the primordial landscape. For our ancestors, huddled in the protective embrace of limestone caves or sheltered deep beneath the dense, interwoven canopy of the ancient forests, the sound of the rain was not merely weather. It was the ultimate all-clear signal. Listening to the quiet whispers of the night, enveloped in a cocoon of tranquility. When it rains, the world fundamentally changes its rules. Predators, the great stalking shadows of the ancient world, the big cats, the wolves, the hyenas. Most terrestrial predators avoid hunting in heavy rain. Research suggests that the sheer physics of a downpour makes the mechanics of the hunt nearly impossible. Water washes away the delicate, invisible scent trails that predators rely on to track their quarry. The olfactory landscape is wiped clean, erased by the falling water. Furthermore, visibility drops dramatically in a storm. The sharp edges of the world blur into a soft, grey canvas. And perhaps most importantly, the sound of the falling rain. That steady, rhythmic drumming against the earth and the leaves masks the small, subtle noises of movement. The rustle of dry grass, the snapping of a small branch, the scuff of a paw against a stone. All of these microacoustic signals are swallowed whole by the vast, encompassing symphony of the rain, resting in the ancient rhythm of survival. And so, the predators retreated to their own shelters. They curled up in their dens and waited for the skies to clear. The hunt was suspended. The ancient forests and savannas experienced a rare, collective truce. A temporary peace brokered by the weather itself, finding absolute stillness in the center of the storm, yielding to the heavy, comforting pull of slumber. For early humans, this atmospheric truce was profoundly transformative. The brain's deep, primitive threat detection system, primarily governed by the amygdala and the anterior cingulate cortex, is a relentless sentry. It is always listening, always watching, always scanning the environment for the slightest indication of danger. Even in sleep, this sentry maintains a quiet vigilance, ready to flood the body with adrenaline at the first sign of a threat, floating on a gentle current of peace. But when the steady rhythm of the rain began, when the sound washed over the landscape, that ancient, hyper-vigilant sentry received a powerful message. The environment had shifted from a state of unknown potential danger to a state of known safety. The rain meant that nothing was hunting them tonight. The rain meant that the shadows were empty. The rain meant that the world was, for a few hours at least, entirely secure. Deeply and completely. Resting without reservation. The amygdala and the anterior cingulate cortex could finally stand down. The exhausting burden of hypervigilance was no longer necessary. The sentry could rest. And as the threat detection system powered down, the body could finally enter those deep, restorative stages of REM sleep, unburdened by the ancient fears of the night, allowing every muscle to soften, trusting the quiet of the night. This deep, evolutionary connection to the sound of rain, this ancient neurobiological wiring, still resides within us today, echoing through the corridors of our modern brains. When we hear the steady patter of rainfall against our windows, we are not merely experiencing an acoustic event. We are receiving a deep, ancestral transmission of safety, drifting further into the sanctuary of rest, feeling the profound peace of this moment. To understand exactly how this ancient safety signal operates within the architecture of the modern brain, we can look to the research of Dr. Sayce, Orfeu Buxton at Penn State University. In 2012, Dr. Buxton published influential work exploring how different sound environments affect cortical arousal and sleep continuity. His research suggests that our brains are incredibly sophisticated auditory filters, constantly evaluating the soundscape even when we are deeply unconscious, safe from all the demands of the waking hours, letting the mind unravel its tight threads. Dr. Buxton's findings may indicate that steady, predictable, non-threatening sounds have a profound physiological effect on the resting body. When the brain encounters a stable, unthreatening acoustic environment, it responds by significantly reducing the production of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. As the cortisol levels drop, a remarkable neurological gateway begins to shift, sinking into the velvet darkness, embraced by the ancient stillness. Deep within the brain lies the thalamus, a vital structure that serves as the sensory relay station for the cerebral cortex. Think of the thalamus as the ultimate gatekeeper of conscious awareness. During sleep, the thalamus actively works to close its gates, attempting to block environmental stimuli from reaching the higher processing centers of the brain. When the gates are firmly closed, we remain deep in slumber, drifting peacefully through the cycles of REM and non-REM sleep. But when the acoustic environment is chaotic or unpredictable, the thalamus must keep its gates slightly ajar, constantly evaluating the auditory input to ensure our survival, breathing with the slow rhythm of the earth, knowing that all is well. The sound of rain, as it turns out, is the perfect acoustic key to help the thalamus fully close those gates. Rain is arguably the most predictable natural sound on our planet. Every single raindrop follows the exact same immutable laws of physics. The mass of the water, the irresistible pull of gravity, the sudden, final impact against a surface. It is an equation repeated billions of times a second during a storm. The resulting rhythm is steady, continuous, and deeply reliable, held gently by the passing of time, releasing the need to control or understand. Yet, and this is crucial, it is not perfectly monotonous. There is just enough stochastic variation, just enough random, unpredictable flutter in the exact timing and frequency of the drops to prevent the brain from habituating to it completely. If a sound is too perfectly repetitive, like the ticking of a metronome, the brain may begin to ignore it or, conversely, become fixated upon it. But rain occupies a miraculous neurological sweet spot. It is predictable enough to continuously signal deep safety, yet varied enough to remain gently interesting to the auditory cortex, surrendering to the natural flow of sleep, listening to the quiet whispers of the night. This concept is further illuminated by the work of Dr. Andreas Schiller at the University of Graz. In a 2020 study, Dr. Schiller's research explored how the amygdala processes auditory patterns during states of rest. The findings suggest that predictable auditory patterns, sounds that lack sudden, sharp deviations in volume or frequency, send a continuous, no-threat signal to the amygdala, enveloped in a cocoon of tranquility, resting in the ancient rhythm of survival. As the amygdala receives this steady stream of predictable, stochastic, acoustic data, it begins to learn that the environment is stable. It learns that steady rain equates to no sudden changes. And no sudden changes equates to an absolute absence of danger. In response to this continuous safety signal, the amygdala downregulates its entire threat response apparatus. The heart rate slows. The breathing deepens. The muscles of the jaw and the neck release their residual tension. And the hypervigilant sentry of the ancient mind finally lays down its weapons and surrenders to the night, finding absolute stillness in the center of the storm, yielding to the heavy, comforting pull of slumber. And as the threat detection systems power down, the rain performs one final, masterful neurobiological trick to protect our slumber. It creates a protective acoustic barrier that shields us from the disruptive, unpredictable noises of the modern world, floating on a gentle current of peace. Deeply and completely. Dr. Matthias Basner at the University of Pennsylvania published a fascinating study in 2011. His work explored the profound difference between continuous and intermittent sound environments. The research suggests that continuous sound environments are dramatically less disruptive to the architecture of our sleep than intermittent ones. Resting without reservation, allowing every muscle to soften. Imagine a perfectly silent room. In that silence, the sudden, sharp sound of a car door slamming in the distance, or the wail of a distant siren, or even the soft creak of a neighbor's footsteps on the floorboards above, can trigger a sudden spike in neural activity. This sudden auditory intrusion can cause a cortical arousal, a brief awakening that fractures the delicate structure of our sleep cycles, pulling us out of deep restorative rest or interrupting the vital dreaming phases of REM sleep. Trusting the quiet of the night, drifting further into the sanctuary of rest. But when that same sudden noise is embedded within a continuous, unbroken sound field, its disruptive power is drastically reduced. It is far less likely to penetrate the defenses of the thalamic gate. Feeling the profound peace of this moment, safe from all the demands of the waking hours, rain creates a natural, enveloping sound blanket, a continuous acoustic barrier that smooths out the sudden, jagged spikes and deep, silent valleys of the nighttime soundscape. The sharp, intermittent noises of our modern environment are absorbed, swallowed up and diluted by the gentle, steady wash of the falling water, letting the mind unravel its tight threads, sinking into the velvet darkness. But this phenomenon is not merely acoustic masking. It is not simply a matter of covering one loud sound with another, louder sound. It is something far more profound and sophisticated. It is neurological masking, embraced by the ancient stillness, breathing with the slow rhythm of the earth. Because the brain's auditory processing centers are receiving this constant, non-threatening, steady input of the rain, they actively reduce their sensitivity to novel, sudden sounds. The baseline level of auditory stimulation is raised, which means that the threshold for a new sound to trigger an arousal also rises significantly. The brain essentially turns down its own volume dial. The gates of the thalamus close tighter, sealed by the continuous, reassuring presence of the storm. Knowing that all is well, held gently by the passing of time. We are not just hiding behind the sound of the rain. Our brains are actively using the rain to build a fortress of tranquility, a neurological sanctuary where the unpredictable chaos of the outside world simply cannot reach us. Releasing the need to control or understand. Surrendering to the natural flow of sleep. And so, I want you to remember, as you lie here now, you are safe tonight. In your bed. In your room. Feeling the softness of your blankets. Feeling the gentle support of the mattress beneath you. Listening to the quiet whispers of the night. Enveloped in a cocoon of tranquility. And even though there may be no rain falling outside your window at this very moment, even if the sky above your roof is clear and still, your brain can create the feeling of rain. It can summon that deep, ancestral memory. The feeling of that ancient safety signal echoing across millions of years of human history, resting in the ancient rhythm of survival, finding absolute stillness in the center of the storm. You can conjure the feeling of a world where the predators have retreated, where the shadows are empty and harmless, where the night is soft and gentle and vast, yielding to the heavy, comforting pull of slumber, floating on a gentle current of peace. Allow yourself to feel the exquisite relief of the century finally resting, the profound surrender of a mind that knows, with absolute certainty, that there is nothing left to guard against. Deeply and completely, resting without reservation, you are held in the ancient embrace of the storm, safe and warm and dry, just for you, continuing its endless, steady rhythm, washing away the remnants of the day, carrying you deeper and deeper into the quiet, into the peace, into the soft, welcoming dark, allowing every muscle to soften, trusting the quiet of the night, drifting further into the sanctuary of rest, feeling the profound peace of this moment, safe from all the demands of the waking hours, letting the mind unravel its tight threads, sinking into the velvet darkness, embraced by the ancient stillness, breathing with the slow rhythm of the earth, knowing that all is well, held gently by the passing of time, releasing the need to control or understand, surrendering to the natural flow of sleep, listening to the quiet whispers of the night, enveloped in a cocoon of tranquility, resting in the ancient rhythm of survival, finding absolute stillness in the center of the storm, yielding to the heavy, comforting pull of slumber, floating on a gentle current of peace. Welcome back to the fading zone, the quiet space where the sharp edges of the day begin to blur, and the busy. Waking mind slowly softens into the gentle rhythms of the night. We have left the bright, demanding world far behind us now, and we are entering a slower, deeper, more contemplative space, a place where there is nothing left to achieve, nothing to solve, nothing to do but simply exist in the stillness. Before we explore the invisible forces at work in the world outside, let us begin by finding our own internal rhythm. Let your body settle completely into whatever surface is supporting you, feeling the steady, undeniable gravity, the gentle, persistent pull of the earth, drawing you down, holding you safe, and keeping you entirely secure. We are going to breathe together now, very slowly, very deliberately, sending a profound biological signal to every cell in your body that the work of the day is finally done, and that it is safe to rest. We will breathe in for a slow count of 5, and we will let the air cascade out for a long, luxurious count of 10, pulling the calm in, and letting the accumulated tension of the day wash away. So whenever you are ready, inhale slowly through your nose, and now exhale, releasing the air. Feel the heavy, sinking sensation in your limbs. That beautiful, gradual letting go. Let us do this a second time, drawing the quiet, cool night air in, and now let it fall away. A slow and total surrender. Feeling your shoulders drop, feeling the small, tight muscles of your face begin to soften and smooth. And for the third and final cycle, draw the breath deep into the very lowest part of your lungs, expanding your chest, and empty it completely, letting absolutely everything go. Just rest here for a long moment, in the profound stillness you have created, in the quiet, empty space between the breaths, where the mind is calm and the body is heavy. As we drift deeper into the fading zone, we begin to look closer at the world outside your window, beyond the glass, where the rain is falling steadily through the dark. In our previous journeys, we explored the rhythmic sound of the water, the acoustic blanket that wraps around your home and masks the startling noises of the world. But there is something else happening out there in the damp night air. Something entirely invisible to the naked eye. A quiet alchemy unfolding in the atmosphere itself. The rain is not merely an auditory experience. It is not just a soundscape to soothe the ears. It is a profound chemical event. A massive, invisible alteration of the very air you are breathing. Imagine, for a moment, a single raindrop forming in the high, cold altitudes of the storm clouds, falling through the cool, rushing night air, tumbling from the heavy sky, and carrying with it the immense kinetic energy of its long descent. When that droplet finally strikes a surface, when it hits a broad green leaf, or the hard pavement, or the rich, dark soil of the earth, it does not merely stop, it shatters. It breaks apart into thousands upon thousands of microscopic fragments of water. And in that infinitesimal moment of collision, in that microscopic explosion of water against the earth, a tiny, invisible release of energy occurs. This mechanical action, the violent but microscopic shattering of the water droplet, literally tears electrons away from the surrounding air molecules, creating what science calls negative ions. These are oxygen molecules that have gained an extra, wandering electron, carrying a negative electrical charge. This invisible gift of the rain transforms the air from stale and stagnant to vibrant and electrically alive. To understand the sheer scale of this invisible transformation, we have to look at the numbers. In a typical, closed indoor environment, an office building or a living room with the windows shut tight, the air is often depleted. It might contain perhaps 100 to 500 negative ions in every cubic centimeter of air. It is still, tired air. The kind of air that leaves us feeling sluggish and weary by the middle of the afternoon. But step outside near a magnificent, rushing waterfall, or stand on your porch during a heavy, steady rainstorm, and that number absolutely explodes. The atmosphere becomes thick with this invisible charge. Concentrations of negative ions near waterfalls and during rainstorms can reach an astonishing 10,000 to 50,000 ions per cubic centimeter. It is a veritable ocean of electrical energy. Invisible, silent, but deeply and profoundly felt by the human nervous system. For decades, researchers have been fascinated by how these unseen, charged molecules interact with human biology, and how they might influence our mood, our energy, and our capacity for rest. Back in 1995, at Columbia University, Dr. Michael Terman conducted rigorous, controlled studies exploring this very phenomenon. His work, which was published in the prestigious archives of general psychiatry, revealed something astonishing about our relationship with this electrically charged air. Dr. Terman found that exposure to high-density negative ions produced profound mood improvements. Improvements that were entirely comparable to clinical antidepressant effects in patients suffering from seasonal affective disorder. The invisible friction of the rain, the shattered water molecules, was acting as a gentle, environmental medicine, lifting the heavy fog of depression and soothing the weary mind. The rain was, quite literally, changing the emotional chemistry of the patients who breathed it in. And the story goes even deeper into the architecture of our rest. In 2013, Dr. Veronica Perez at the University of Cadiz published a comprehensive meta-analysis of negative ion research, pulling together data from multiple studies to see the broader picture. Her findings painted a fascinating portrait of the inner workings of the brain when exposed to this charged air. Dr. Perez's analysis showed a strong association with increased serotonin availability in the brain, alongside significantly reduced markers of physiological stress. Heart rates slowed. Blood pressure stabilized. The sympathetic nervous system stepped back from the edge of vigilance. Now we must always speak carefully when tracing the intricate pathways of the human brain. The research suggests, and it is hypothesized by many in the field, that these negative ions, breathed deeply into the lungs and absorbed directly into the bloodstream, appear to increase the brain's availability of serotonin. The evidence, while not yet completely conclusive, points toward a beautiful biological cascade. You may know serotonin as the mood elevator, the neurotransmitter of contentment, safety, and well-being. But serotonin has a secret, second life in the architecture of our sleep. It is the vital raw material, the chemical precursor that your brain absolutely requires to build the machinery of rest. As darkness falls across your hemisphere and the light fades from the sky, a tiny structure in your brain called the pineal gland goes to work, taking the serotonin you built up during the day and converting it into melatonin, the master hormone of sleep. This means that the equation is beautifully simple. More serotonin in the evening equals more melatonin at night, which ultimately leads to deeper, more restorative sleep. Sleep with rich, uninterrupted cycles of REM sleep and profound, slow-wave rest. The mechanical shattering of the rain outside your window is literally providing the invisible building blocks your brain needs to shut down. It is an invisible chemistry, drifting through the cracks in the window frame, preparing your mind for the dark. But negative ions are only one part of this invisible symphony. There is another chemical phenomenon at work when the rain begins to fall, one that speaks to an even older, deeper part of our mammalian brain. It is a phenomenon you know intimately, even if you have never spoken its name. It is the unmistakable scent of the rain, the smell of sleep itself. We call the smell of rain on warm earth petrichor. It is a rich, musky, sweet, and deeply earthy aroma that rises from the soil the moment the first drops begin to fall. But to truly understand why this scent is so profoundly relaxing, we have to look past the chemistry of the soil and gaze deeply into the neurological pathways of the human brain. In the bustling architecture of your brain, there is a structure called the thalamus. You can think of the thalamus as the grand central station of the mind. It is the ultimate gatekeeper, the busy, relentless switchboard operator of your sensory experience. Whenever you see something, the visual data travels from your eyes to the thalamus, where it is checked, filtered, and then routed to the visual cortex. Whenever you hear a sound, the auditory data travels from your ears to the thalamus, waiting in line to be processed and sent to the auditory cortex. Whenever you touch something, the tactile data travels from your skin to the thalamus. Everything must pass through this gatekeeper. Everything must be consciously filtered and sorted. Everything. Except for one thing. The sense of smell plays by entirely different rules. the olfactory bulb, which processes the scents you breathe in, is the only sensory organ in the human body with a direct, uninterrupted connection to the limbic system, the ancient, emotional core of the brain that houses the amygdala and the hippocampus. This unique neural architecture is known as the olfactory limbic bypass. What this means, in the quiet hours of the night, is that the smell of the rain bypasses the brain's conscious filtering system entirely. It does not wait in line at the thalamus. It does not ask for permission to be processed. It goes directly, instantly, to the emotional and memory centers of your mind. No thalamic gate can block it. No conscious decision can prevent it from affecting your mood. Dr. Rachel Hertz, a leading expert in the psychology of smell at Brown University, has spent years studying this remarkable pathway. In her extensive research published in 2004 and updated in 2016, Dr. Hertz demonstrated that olfactory stimuli are uniquely powerful triggers of autobiographical memory and emotional response, far more powerful than sight or sound. Because of this direct limbic connection, the smell of the rain can transport you instantly, completely, to a distant childhood memory. Perhaps you are suddenly back in a warm house on a rainy afternoon, or sitting on a porch during a school holiday, or safe in a grandparent's home while a storm rages outside. The smell of the rain brings with it an emotional vividness that no other sense can possibly match. It delivers a sudden, unshakable feeling of safety, of being sheltered, of being perfectly, entirely okay. The primary chemical responsible for this intoxicating scent is a compound called geosmin. It is not produced by the water itself, but by tiny, ancient soil bacteria called streptomyces that live in the earth. When the rain hits the dry soil, it ejects this chemical into the air in microscopic aerosols. And here is the most astonishing part. The human nose is tuned to detect geosmin at incredibly, almost unbelievably low concentrations. We can smell it at levels as low as 5 parts per trillion. To put that into perspective, that is equivalent to detecting a single drop of liquid in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. This extraordinary, almost superhuman sensitivity is not an accident. It suggests a deep, profound evolutionary importance. Long before we lived in modern houses with waterproof roofs and climate control, our ancient ancestors lived at the total mercy of the natural world. Out on the dry, sweeping plains, survival depended entirely on the ability to find water. When the dry season dragged on, and the earth was parched, our ancestors needed to know when the rains were returning. They needed to detect rain-soaked earth from miles away, because the smell of the rain meant survival. It meant a reliable water source. It meant the plants would grow again. It meant the hunting grounds would be fertile. It meant, above all else, safe territory. When our ancestors smelled the rain, their nervous systems received a massive chemical signal that the danger of drought had passed, that they could finally drop their guard, that they could finally rest. And you, resting in your bed tonight, carry that exact same ancient wiring inside of you. When you smell the rain, your brain is receiving a chemical message that is hundreds of thousands of years old. A message that bypasses all your modern worries, all your conscious anxieties, and speaks directly to the deepest, oldest part of your mind, telling you that you have water, you have shelter, you are safe, you can let go. Let us take a moment to experience this. Right now, in the quiet of this room, I want you to use the incredible power of your memory and your imagination to call up that ancient scent. Take a slow, gentle breath in and imagine the smell of rain on warm earth. Imagine that rich, clean, ancient scent drifting gently through an open window on a cool evening breeze. Smell the damp soil, the wet leaves, the heavy, sweet moisture in the air, and notice how even just the idea of that smell, even just the memory of it, creates a subtle, undeniable shift in your physical body. A softening in the chest, a releasing of tension in the jaw, a sudden, deep feeling of being anchored to the earth. Your nervous system remembers. Your DNA remembers. You are safe. You are sheltered. You can rest. This profound relaxation is amplified by the broader environmental changes that accompany a storm. A phenomenon we can call the weather effect. Dr. Greg Murray, a researcher at the Swinburne University of Technology in Melbourne, published fascinating research in 2010 on the complex relationship between weather and human mood. Dr. Murray's work showed that overcast, rainy conditions strongly correlate with reduced physiological arousal and a significantly increased sleep propensity. When the rain moves in, it changes everything about our environment. The barometric pressure drops, creating a heavy, comforting weight in the atmosphere. The light dims, signaling the brain that the active part of the day is over. The air becomes cool and humid, creating the perfect temperature for the human body to sleep. When you combine all of these elements, you create something truly remarkable. The low barometric pressure easing the tension in your joints. The reduced light coaxing the pineal gland into action. The cool, humid air settling over your skin. The rhythmic, pink noise of the rain sounds, masking the chaos of the world. The negative ions charging the air and increasing the availability of serotonin. And the petrichor, bypassing your conscious mind to deliver a message of profound, evolutionary safety directly to your emotional core. It is a perfect biological cocktail for sleep. Every single sense in your body, your sight, your hearing, your touch, your smell, is receiving the exact same unified signal. Rest now. You are safe. The world outside is being washed clean. and there is nothing required of you until the morning. This is why we feel such an overwhelming sense of relief when the skies darken and the rain begins to fall. It is not just a preference. It is not just a cozy feeling. It is biology. It is chemistry. It is evolution. Working in perfect, silent harmony to guide you down into the deep. The rain is the great equalizer, the great calmer of the nervous system. So let the rain do its work tonight. Let the invisible chemistry of the storm fill the air around you. Let the negative ions soothe your weary mind. Let the ancient memory of the damp earth whisper to your deepest self. You do not need to try to sleep. You do not need to force the rest to come. The rain has been putting human beings to sleep since the very dawn of our species. It knows exactly what to do. All you have to do is surrender to it. All you have to do is listen and breathe and let the fading zone carry you away into the quiet, into the dark, into the deep, restorative rest that you so profoundly deserve. Sleep well, and on into the night. Breathe with me now. One last time. The slowest cycle yet. Drawing the air in slowly, holding slowly, and releasing. Pouring the air out slowly. Inhaling, holding, and exhaling. Slow, inevitable. Perfectly timed. Slowly. Steadily. All the way down. Each exhale, like a raindrop falling from a great height. Inhaling again. Holding. And exhaling. Pouring it away. Slowly. Steadily. All the way down. Inhaling. Holding the stillness. And releasing. Slow, steady. Slowly. Steadily. All the way down. And the final cycle. Inhaling deep into the lungs. Holding that comfortable fullness. And letting it fall. Exhaling. Slowly. Steadily. All the way down. We have traveled far through the storm. And now we find ourselves in the quietest place of all. The deepest fading zone, where the edges of the world begin to blur, and the heavy curtain of sleep begins to draw closed. This is the space where thought dissolves into sensation, where the busy mind surrenders to the body's ancient wisdom, takes over completely, guiding you down into the dark and restful quiet. Listen now, purely to the texture of the sound. Imagine the rain falling on different surfaces, each material offering its own voice in the choir. Each drop an instrument played by the sky itself. Picture a remote cabin, and the sound of rain on a tin roof. Each drop a tiny bell, struck once and left to resonate in the cool night air. The rhythm is irregular, but profoundly steady, like a jazz drummer with infinite patience, exploring every possible variation of the beat. Some drops fall hard and sharp, ringing out clearly above the rest, while others fall in a rushing wash of softer notes, blending together into a continuous hum of pure sound. It is a chaotic symphony, yet completely predictable in its aggregate nature. You do not know when the next drop will hit, but you know that it will. And in that certainty, your mind finds a profound and lasting peace. The metal amplifies the sound, broadcasting safety to the world below, telling you that the roof holds, that the shelter is secure, that the storm will remain outside, while you remain dry and warm and deeply protected within. Now let the tin roof fade and replace it with the sound of rain on leaves, a vast forest canopy stretching out in every direction. Millions upon millions of leaves, each one a tiny green drum, catching the water as it falls. The sound here is softer, more diffuse, organic and endlessly whispering, each leaf catching its own drop and bending gently under the weight, bowing to the force of the sky before springing back into place, flicking the water down to the branch below. The drops cascade through the canopy, tumbling from the highest oak leaves, down to the mid-level maples, down to the low ferns waiting on the forest floor. It is a multi-layered journey of water, a slow filtering of the storm through a living sieve. The sound is a lush, textured sigh, a great breathing organism that drinks the sky. The forest does not fight the rain. It welcomes it. It yields to it. And in that yielding, it finds its nourishment and its life. Just as you are yielding to sleep now, letting the weight of the day fall through you, leaf by leaf, level by level, until it reaches the quiet earth below. Move your awareness now to the edge of the forest, to a quiet lake, untouched by wind, purely reflecting the grey sky above, and listen to the rain falling on the deep, still water, the surface dimpling with thousands of tiny circles, each drop creating a perfect ring, each circle expanding outward, overlapping with its neighbors, creating a pattern of infinite complexity. A mandala of water written on water. The sound is a deep, resonant swallowing, as the lake accepts each drop, drawing it down into its cold, dark depths. There is no resistance here at all, only absorption. The drop hits the surface and becomes the lake, instantly losing its individual shape to become part of the vast whole. It is a beautiful vanishing, a peaceful dissolving into something greater. Watching those expanding rings, those overlapping ripples, is like watching your own thoughts as you drift toward sleep. A thought arises, creates a small ripple in your awareness, and then expands, softens, and disappears into the depths of your mind. leaving only the smooth surface behind. Waiting for the next drop. Follow the water to a stone path winding away from the lake. Rain on a stone path. The drops darkening the ancient, weathered stone, turning the pale grey to a deep, rich slate. The water pooling in the natural crevices, filling the hollows worn away by centuries of footsteps, before trickling downhill in tiny silver streams. The sound is solid, grounded, a heavy, wet smacking that speaks of permanence. The stone has been here for millennia. It has felt 1,000,000 rainstorms, and it will feel 1,000,000 more. The stone does not hurry. The stone does not worry. It simply exists, allowing the water to wash over it, to polish it, to slowly change it over geological time. Feel the heavy permanence of the stone in your own bones. That deep, unshakable foundation, resting solidly against the earth. Knowing that whatever storms may come, you will remain grounded, centered, and calm. And just beside the stone path, the sound changes again. Rain on grass. The softest sound of all. Barely audible. A gentle, hushed, whispering sound. Each blade of grass receiving its drop like a gift. Bending slightly. Gathering the moisture at its roots. Drinking deeply from the night sky. The sound is so quiet, so subtle, that you have to be perfectly still to hear it. It asks for your complete presence, your absolute quiet. And as you listen, you realize that the rain is not just falling on the grass, it is falling into the earth itself, soaking down through the topsoil, past the roots of the trees, down into the dark, silent aquifers deep underground, completing a journey that began in the clouds. Returning home, returning to the source, and finally, bring the sound closer, right to the edge of your own awareness. Rain on your window. Close. Intimate. Safe. The drops hitting the glass with a soft tapping. And then sliding down in slow, meandering paths, carving clear rivers through the condensation, leaving trails of reflected light in the darkness. Watching a single raindrop trace its unpredictable path down the pane of glass. Moving left. Hesitating. Gathering weight. Then rushing downward. Merging with another drop. Growing heavier. Vaster. Until it slips away into the night. There is nothing more peaceful, nothing more profoundly comforting than being on the warm side of that glass, separated from the cold and the wet by only a few millimeters of transparency, but separated completely. The window is the boundary between the wildness of the storm and the sanctuary of your bed, and the rain tapping against it is a constant reminder that you are safe, that you are warm, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. This feeling of safety, this profound neurological shift, is not an accident. It is woven into the very fabric of how your brain processes the world. Research conducted by Dr. P. Luca Sebastiani and his team at the University of Pisa in the year 2018 may indicate that the human auditory cortex continues to monitor and process sound, even in the deepest stages of sleep. Your ears never truly turn off. They stand guard while you rest, filtering the environment for signs of danger. But what this research suggests is that when the brain hears familiar, non-threatening sounds, it does not merely ignore them. It actively uses them to deepen your sleep state. The brain recognizes the steady, rhythmic sound of falling water, and it remembers. It remembers a time when the sound of rain meant that predators would not be hunting, that neighboring tribes would not be traveling, that the world outside was shutting down, and that it was safe to let go completely. The brain learns and remembers that rain means safety, and safety means you can sleep deeper, longer, and more peacefully than on a quiet night. But the rain is not only outside of you. Your body, your brain, creates its own internal weather system, its own gentle storms, its own tides and currents. Beneath your skull, deep within the architecture of your brain, there is a constant, rhythmic flow, the steady pulse of cerebrospinal fluid, washing through the ventricles, bathing the neurons, carrying away the metabolic waste of the day. This is the glymphatic system at work, a slow, deliberate cleansing, like rainwater washing the streets clean after a long, dusty summer. The fluid ebbs and flows, in time with your heartbeat, in time with your breath. A steady, relentless, purifying stream. Your brain has its own internal rain, the steady flow of blood through thousands of tiny vessels, nourishing the tissue, bringing life and warmth to every cell, and the oscillating waves of neural activity. Especially now, as you drift deeper into the night, when you sleep, the fast, chaotic beta waves of waking life begin to slow, giving way to alpha, then theta, and finally, the slow, rolling delta waves. Studies show that these delta waves roll across your cortex in massive, synchronized sweeps, moving from the front of your brain to the back, over and over again. Like slow, heavy rain clouds moving across a dark sky. Like waves breaking on a midnight shore. The rhythm of deep sleep. The rhythm of rain. Slow, steady, relentless, beautiful. You are not just listening to the storm. You are becoming the storm. You are synchronizing your internal rhythms with the oldest lullaby on earth, letting the water outside speak to the water inside, until there is no difference between the two. Let us bring that internal rain down through the body now. A slow, descending wash of pure relaxation, sweeping away whatever tension remains, starting at the very top and flowing down, down, down into the absolute stillness of sleep. Feel the rain falling softly on the crown of your head. Imagine it as a warm, heavy mist, settling onto your scalp, each drop dissolving a small piece of tension, loosening the tiny muscles beneath the skin. The water running down through your hair, cool and gentle, washing away the last traces of the day, washing away the thoughts that you no longer need to hold, letting them slide away into the pillow, gone and forgotten. The rain reaches your forehead, your temples, a soothing touch against the skin, smoothing the muscles around your eyes, releasing the furrows between your brows, letting your forehead become as smooth and blank as a quiet lake. The water flowing down across your closed eyelids, like a cool, clean blessing, washing away the images of the waking world, preparing your eyes to look inward, into the dark, restful theater of dreams. Rain on your jaw, your cheeks, the muscles of your face softening under the gentle percussion, your mouth relaxing, your jaw dropping slightly, the hinge of your jaw releasing its tight grip, your tongue settling softly into the bottom of your mouth, the water washing away the need to speak, the need to smile, the need to hold any expression at all, your face becoming completely neutral, completely at rest, an ancient mask of perfect peace. Rain on your neck, your shoulders, the places where we carry the heaviest burdens, the weight of our responsibilities. Feel the warm water flowing over these muscles, the drops finding every knot, every point of tension, every tight band of tissue, and dissolving them, un by un, like salt dissolving in warm water. Feel your shoulders dropping an inch deeper into the mattress, surrendering their load to the earth, knowing that gravity will hold you, knowing that you do not need to hold yourself up anymore. Rain on your arms, trickling down from your shoulders to your elbows. A slow, heavy flow, relaxing the biceps, the triceps, moving from your elbows down into your forearms, from your wrists down into your hands, and flowing all the way to your fingertips, each finger receiving its own gentle, cooling drop, washing away the need to do, the need to grasp, the need to control. Your hands resting softly, empty, and open, heavy and warm against the bed. Rain on your chest, rising and falling with each breath, perfectly synchronized with your respiration. Each inhale lifting the raindrops, each exhale letting them settle deeper. The water sinking past the skin, past the ribs, down into your heart, slowing the rhythm, calming the beat, washing your heart in a feeling of profound safety and infinite time. There is no rush here, nowhere to be, nothing to do. Just the slow, steady rhythm of life sustaining itself in the dark. Rain on your stomach, your abdomen, the warmest part of your body, the core of your physical being. The rain here is warm too. Body temperature, rain. Soothing, nourishing, easing the deep internal muscles, settling the organs. A heavy, comforting warmth that spreads outward from your center, radiating peace in all directions, telling your entire nervous system that it is finally time to power down. Rain on your hips, your pelvis, your thighs, the heaviest parts of your body, the great pillars that carry you through the world. Feel them sinking deeper into the bed with each drop. Gravity and water working together to pull you down into rest. The large muscles of your legs softening, releasing, melting into the mattress. Heavy. So heavy. As if they were made of the stone itself. Resting eternally on the silent earth. Rain on your knees, your calves, your shins, your ankles, the long muscles of your lower legs finally releasing their grip, the joints loosening, the ligaments softening, melting under the gentle flow, the water washing away the miles you have walked, the places you have been, bringing you entirely into this moment, into this bed, into this deep and perfect stillness. Rain on your feet, the soles, the arches, your heels, your toes, the very last outpost of your body, the furthest point from your waking mind. And now the rain covers you entirely. From the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. A gentle, warm, living blanket of water and sound. You are encased in it, protected by it, nourished by it, perfectly still, perfectly heavy, perfectly at peace, is still singing for you tonight. Listen to it, stretching out across the dark miles. A song composed of billions of tiny impacts. A song of gravity and water. It sang for your grandparents, and their grandparents, and for every ancestor who ever sheltered from a storm, who sat in a cave or a cabin or a tent, and felt the ancient peace of falling water, felt the sudden realization that they were safe, and that the world outside was taking care of itself. It sang for the first humans who stood upright on the African plains and turned their faces to the sky, feeling the first cool drops of a breaking drought, the promise of life returning to the soil, the primal knowledge that water is survival, and that rain is a blessing. It sang before there were words, before there was language to describe it, before there was music to imitate it. It is the foundation of all rhythm, the first heartbeat of the planet, and it will sing long after everything else has fallen silent. It will fall on the oceans and the mountains, on the cities and the forests, continuing its eternal cycle of evaporation and return. A permanent feature of this beautiful, spinning world needs no singer, no instrument, no melody, just water and gravity and the patient, beautiful surface of the world, rising up to meet the sky. Let it sing for you now. Let it wash away the last remaining fragments of your waking day. Let it carry you down into the quiet dark, into the deepest, most peaceful sleep you have ever known. Sweet dreams. From Sleepy Science Night. Listen now, purely to the texture of the sound. Do not try to analyze it. Just let it wash over you. Imagine the rain falling on different surfaces, un by un, each material offering its own voice in the great choir of the storm. Each drop an instrument played by the sky itself. Picture a remote cabin, standing alone in a vast wilderness, and the sound of rain on a tin roof. Each drop a tiny bell, struck once and left to resonate in the cool, damp night air. The rhythm is irregular but profoundly steady, like a jazz drummer with infinite patience, exploring every possible variation of the beat. Over minutes, hours, days, some drops fall hard and sharp, ringing out clearly above the rest with a bright, metallic ping, while others fall in a rushing wash of softer notes, blending together into a continuous, vibrating hum of pure sound. It is a chaotic symphony, yet completely predictable in its aggregate nature. You do not know when the exact next drop will hit, but you know with absolute certainty that it will. And in that deep certainty, your mind finds a profound and lasting peace. The metal roof amplifies the sound, broadcasting a signal of safety to the world below, telling you that the structure holds, that the shelter is secure, that the storm will remain outside, raging through the trees and the wind, while you remain perfectly dry and wonderfully warm and deeply protected within. Now let the tin roof slowly fade from your mind's ear and replace it with the sound of rain on leaves, a vast forest canopy stretching out in every direction, spanning entire continents, millions upon millions of leaves, each one a tiny green drum, catching the water as it falls from the heavy clouds. The sound here is softer, more diffuse, organic, and endlessly whispering, each leaf catching its own individual drop and bending gently under the weight, bowing respectfully to the force of the sky, before springing gracefully back into place, flicking the water down to the branch below. The drops cascade through the canopy in a slow-motion waterfall, tumbling from the highest oak leaves, down to the mid-level maples, down to the ferns and the mosses waiting on the quiet forest floor. It is a multi-layered journey of water, a slow filtering of the storm through a living sieve. The sound is a lush, textured sigh, a great breathing organism that drinks the sky and sings in response. The forest does not fight the rain. It welcomes it. It yields to it completely. And in that beautiful yielding, it finds its nourishment and its very life. Just as you are yielding to sleep now, letting the weight of the day fall through you, leaf by leaf, level by level, thought by thought, until it reaches the quiet earth below. Move your awareness now, slow and drifting, to the edge of the forest, to a quiet lake, untouched by wind, purely reflecting the grey and heavy sky above. And listen to the gentle, rhythmic sound of the rain falling on the deep, still water, the surface dimpling with thousands upon thousands of tiny circles, each drop creating a perfect, flawless ring, each circle expanding outward in slow, hypnotic motion, overlapping with its neighbors, creating a pattern of infinite, mesmerizing complexity, a mandala of water written on water, changing every millisecond, yet remaining fundamentally the same. The sound is a deep, resonant swallowing, as the lake gracefully accepts each drop, drawing it down into its cold, dark, mysterious depths. There is no resistance here at all. No friction. Only perfect absorption. The drop hits the surface and becomes the lake, instantly losing its individual shape and history to become part of the vast, collective whole. It is a beautiful vanishing, a peaceful dissolving into something far greater than itself. Watching those expanding rings, those overlapping, interlocking ripples, is like watching your own thoughts as you drift closer and closer toward the deepest sleep. A thought arises, creates a small ripple in your awareness, and then expands, softens, loses its shape, and disappears completely into the depths of your mind, leaving only the smooth, mirrored surface behind, waiting patiently for the next drop. Follow the water, drifting along the shoreline, to a stone path winding away from the lake and up into the hills. Listen to the heavy, grounded sound of rain on a stone path, the drops darkening the ancient, weathered stone, turning the pale grey surface to a deep, rich slate, the water pooling in the natural crevices, filling the hollows worn away by centuries of footsteps, gathering into tiny pools that mirror the sky, before spilling over and trickling downhill in tiny silver streams. The sound is solid, grounded, a heavy, wet smacking that speaks of immense permanence and ancient time. The stone has been here for millennia, it has felt a million rainstorms wash over its face, and it will feel a million more before it finally turns to dust. The stone does not hurry. The stone does not worry about the future or regret the past. It simply exists in the perfect present moment, allowing the water to wash over it, to polish it, to slowly, imperceptibly change it over geological time. Feel the heavy permanence of the stone in your own bones, that deep, unshakable foundation within you, resting solidly against the mattress, against the floor, against the earth itself, knowing that whatever storms may come in the waking world, whatever winds may blow, you will remain grounded, centered, entirely calm, and deeply, fundamentally safe. And just beside the stone path, as the heavy drops continue to fall, the sound changes again, moving into the softest territory of all. Rain on grass, the softest sound in the natural world, barely audible to the human ear. A gentle, hushed, whispering sound, like a secret being told to the earth. Each blade of grass receiving its drop like a precious gift, bending slightly under the tiny weight, gathering the moisture at its roots, drinking deeply from the dark night sky. The sound is so incredibly quiet, so subtle and delicate, that you have to be perfectly still to hear it. It asks for your complete, undivided presence, your absolute quietude. And as you listen, you realize that the rain is not just falling on the grass. It is falling into the earth itself, soaking down through the rich topsoil, past the tangled roots of the trees, down through the gravel and the clay, into the dark, silent aquifers deep underground, completing a massive, planetary journey that began high in the cold atmosphere, returning home, returning to the source of all things. And finally, bring the sound closer, pulling it inward from the forest and the lake and the path, right to the edge of your own immediate awareness. Rain on your window. Close. Intimate. Incredibly safe. The drops hitting the glass with a soft, rhythmic tapping, and then sliding down in slow, meandering paths, carving clear rivers through the fogged condensation, leaving trails of reflected light shimmering in the darkness of your room. Imagine watching a single raindrop trace its unpredictable path down the pane of glass, moving slightly left, hesitating, gathering weight, then rushing downward, merging with another drop, growing heavier, faster, until it slips away into the night below the frame. There is nothing more peaceful, nothing more profoundly comforting than being on the warm side of that glass, separated from the cold and the wet and the wind by only a few millimeters of transparency, but separated completely and absolutely. The window is the magical boundary between the wildness of the storm and the absolute sanctuary of your bed. and the rain tapping against it is a constant, gentle reminder that you are safe, that you are warm, that you are protected from the elements, that you are exactly where you are meant to be in this vast universe. Resting, healing, breathing. This profound feeling of safety, this deep, neurological shift from alertness to relaxation, is not an accident of nature. It is woven into the very fabric of how your brain has evolved to process the world over millions of years. Modern science is only just beginning to understand the ancient mechanisms of sleep. Research conducted by Dr. Forti, Luca Sebastiani, and his dedicated team of neuroscientists at the University of Pisa, published in the year 2018, may indicate that the human auditory cortex, the part of your brain responsible for processing sound, continues to actively monitor the environment, even in the very deepest stages of sleep, including slow-wave sleep and the deep, restorative REM sleep cycles. Your ears never truly turn off. They act as sentinels, standing guard in the darkness while you rest, constantly filtering the ambient environment for sudden, loud noises or signs of danger. But what this fascinating research suggests is that when the brain hears familiar, steady, non-threatening sounds like rainfall, it does not merely ignore them or tune them out. It actively uses them to deepen your sleep state. The brain recognizes the steady, rhythmic, broadband sound of falling water, and it remembers. On a deep, genetic level, it remembers a time when the sound of rain meant that predators would not be hunting, that neighboring tribes would not be traveling or attacking, that the dangerous world outside was shutting down and seeking shelter, and that it was finally truly safe to let go completely. The brain learns and remembers that rain means absolute safety, and safety means you can sleep deeper, longer, and more peacefully than on a perfectly quiet night where every snapped twig sounds like an alarm. But the rain is not only happening outside of your window. Your own body, your own brain, creates its own internal weather system, its own gentle, life-giving storms, its own internal tides and slow, rhythmic currents. Beneath your skull, deep within the folded architecture of your brain, there is a constant, rhythmic flow, the steady, washing pulse of cerebrospinal fluid, moving through the ventricles, bathing the billions of neurons, carrying away the metabolic waste of the waking day. This is the glymphatic system at work. A slow, deliberate, beautiful cleansing, like a heavy, warm rainwater washing the city streets clean after a long, dusty, exhaust-filled summer. The fluid ebbs and flows, in perfect time with your heartbeat, in perfect synchronization with your slow, deep breath. A steady, relentless, purifying stream that clears away the fog and leaves your mind sparkling and renewed. your brain has its own internal rain. The steady, rushing flow of blood through thousands of miles of tiny, microscopic vessels, nourishing the delicate tissue, bringing vital oxygen and warmth to every single cell. And the slowly oscillating waves of electrical neural activity, especially now, as you drift further and deeper into the night. When you sleep, the fast, chaotic, jagged beta waves of waking life, the waves of stress and calculation and worry, begin to slow down, giving way to the smooth, rolling alpha waves of relaxation, then the slower theta waves of light, sleep, and dreaming. And finally, as you enter the deepest fading zone, the slow, massive, rolling delta waves. Studies show that these huge delta waves roll across your cerebral cortex in massive, synchronized sweeps, moving slowly from the front of your brain to the back, over and over again, like slow, heavy, dark rain clouds moving majestically across a midnight sky, like vast ocean waves breaking rhythmically on a deserted, moonlit shore. The rhythm of deep sleep is the rhythm of rain. Slow, steady, relentless, powerful, and unimaginably beautiful. You are not just listening to the storm outside your window. You are becoming the storm, letting the water outside speak directly to the water inside, until there is absolutely no difference between the two. Let us bring that internal rain down through the physical body now. A slow, descending, methodical wash of pure relaxation, sweeping away whatever tiny fragments of tension remain hiding in the muscles and joints, starting at the very top of your being and flowing slowly, steadily, down, down, down into the absolute stillness and immobility of the deepest sleep. Feel the rain falling softly on the crown of your head. Imagine it as a warm, heavy, incredibly soothing mist, settling gently onto your scalp, each tiny drop dissolving a small piece of lingering tension, loosening the tiny, often ignored muscles beneath the skin, the water running down through your hair, cool and gentle, washing away the last, stubborn traces of the day, washing away the complex thoughts that you no longer need to hold, letting them slide away off your scalp and into the pillow, gone and completely forgotten, leaving your mind empty, clear, and perfectly still. The heavy, relaxing rain reaches your forehead and your temples, a soothing, liquid touch against the skin, smoothing the muscles around your eyes, releasing the tiny, tight furrows between your brows that come from concentration and worry, letting your forehead become as smooth and blank and peaceful as a quiet forest lake at dawn. The water flowing down across your closed, heavy eyelids, like a cool, clean, sacred blessing, washing away the bright, chaotic images of the waking world. The screens, the lights, the movement, preparing your eyes to look inward, into the dark, restful, infinite theater of dreams. Rain on your jaw and your cheeks, the strong muscles of your face softening completely under the gentle, rhythmic percussion, your mouth relaxing, your jaw dropping slightly as the heavy hinge releases its tight, waking grip, your tongue settling softly into the bottom of your mouth, the water washing away the need to speak, the need to smile, the need to hold any expression at all for the outside world, your face becoming completely neutral, completely at rest. An ancien, beautiful mask of perfect, undisturbed peace. Rain on your neck and your shoulders, the places where we carry the heaviest physical and emotional burdens, the weight of our responsibilities, our fears, our obligation. Feel the warm, heavy water flowing over these thick muscles, the drops finding every hidden knot, every sharp point of tension, every tight band of fibrous tissue, and dissolving them, un by un, like salt dissolving in warm water. Feel your shoulders dropping an inch deeper into the mattress, surrendering their heavy load to the earth, knowing that gravity will hold you, knowing that you do not need to hold yourself up anymore. The bed is carrying you now. Rain on your arms, trickling down from your heavy shoulders to your elbows. A slow, heavy, hypnotic flow, relaxing the biceps, softening the triceps, moving down from your elbows into your forearms, loosening the complex web of muscles there, flowing from your wrists down into the palms of your hands, and traveling all the way out to your fingertips. Each individual finger receiving its own gentle, cooling, heavy drop, washing away the need to do, the need to grasp, the need to control or fix the world. Your hands resting softly, empty and open, completely heavy and warm against the bed. Rain on your chest, rising and falling with each slow, measured breath, perfectly synchronized with your deeply relaxed respiration. Each inhale gently lifting the heavy raindrops. Each exhale letting them settle deeper into the tissue. The water sinking past the skin, past the ribs, down into your beating heart, slowing the rhythm, calming the beat, washing your heart in a profound feeling of safety and infinite, boundless time. There is absolutely no rush here. Nowhere you need to be. Nothing you need to do. Just the slow, steady, magnificent rhythm of life sustaining itself effortlessly in the dark. Rain on your stomach and your abdomen, the warmest, most vulnerable part of your physical body, the core of your being. The rain here is warm too. Perfect body temperature rain. Incredibly soothing. Deeply nourishing. Easing the deep internal muscles. Settling all the organs into a state of rest and digestion. a heavy, comforting warmth that spreads outward from your center, radiating profound peace in all directions, telling your entire nervous system that the day is truly over, and that it is finally time to power down completely. Rain on your hips, your pelvis, and your thighs, the heaviest, strongest parts of your body, the great, powerful pillars that carry you through the waking world. Feel them sinking deeper and deeper into the bed with each heavy drop. Gravity and water working perfectly together to pull you down into total rest. The large, thick muscles of your legs softening, releasing their ancient grip, melting into the mattress. Heavy, so incredibly heavy, as if they were made of the stone itself, resting eternally and immovably on the silent earth. Rain on your knees, your calves, your shins, and your ankles. The long, hard-working muscles of your lower legs finally releasing their grip. The complex joints loosening. The tight ligaments softening, melting entirely under the gentle, continuous flow. The water washing away the miles you have walked today. The places you have been. The stairs you have climbed. Bringing you entirely, completely into this exact moment. Into this specific bed. Into this deep, flawless, and perfect stillness. Rain on your feet, the soles, the arches, your heels, and every single one of your toes. The very last outpost of your physical body. The furthest point from your waking, thinking mind. And now the rain covers you entirely. From the absolute crown of your head to the very tips of your toes. A gentle, warm, heavy, living blanket of water and sound. You are completely encased in it, fiercely protected by it, deeply nourished by it, perfectly still, perfectly heavy, perfectly at peace, is still singing for you tonight. Listen to it, stretching out across the dark miles of the world. A song composed of billions upon billions of tiny impacts. A song of gravity and water, singing the same tune it has sung for millions of years. It sang for your grandparents, and their grandparents, and for every ancestor who ever walked this earth, who ever sheltered from a storm, who sat in a cave or a cabin or a hide tent, and felt the ancient, primal peace of falling water. Felt the sudden, relieving realization that they were safe, and that the world outside was taking care of itself. It sang for the first humans who stood upright on the African plains and turned their faces to the heavy sky, feeling the first cool, shocking drops of a breaking drought. The promise of life and green returning to the parched soil. The deep, instinctual knowledge that water is survival, and that rain is always a blessing. It sang before there were words, before there was human language to describe it, before there was any music to imitate it. It is the foundation of all rhythm, the first heartbeat of the planet, a sound older than the mountains, and it will sing long after everything else has fallen silent. It will continue to fall on the oceans and the mountains, on the quiet cities and the deep forests, continuing its eternal, unbreakable cycle of evaporation and return. A permanent, beautiful feature of this incredibly complex, spinning world. The oldest lullaby on earth needs no singer, no instrument, no complex melody. It requires just water and gravity and the patient, beautiful, enduring surface of the world, rising up to meet the sky over and over again. Let it sing for you now. Let it wash away the last remaining fragments of your waking day. Let it carry you down into the quiet, welcoming dark, into the deepest, most peaceful sleep you have ever known. Sweet dreams from Sleepy Science Night.